This is Royden, and this is the only place on the internet where you can find out about very depressing things shortly after they happen. Because we're going to start today's show off with a bit of a depressing thing. Unfortunately, at the age of 66, Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman for so many years and for so many of us, has died.
Yeah, he was quite literally the embodiment, or not the embodiment, but it was Batman for a lot of people. It's what a lot of people's first characterized, or the first thing that they think of when they think of Batman is the Batman animated series, especially for a lot of people our age. And I think it had since been supplanted probably by the Bale movies, and of course there are tons of Batman movies before that. But like, when I think back on Batman as a kid, the first thing that comes to mind, like the first thing I saw of Batman was Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, I grew up with the animated series on repeat on the weekends and stuff, and was real big into watching all the animated movies and stuff.
DC animated movies, by the way, completely just craps on.
Yeah, Marvel's not even close. It's not even a contest.
Well, not even that, on their own live action films.
Yeah, that is 100% true. It's not even a contest for which one's better.
He was the voice of Batman in, like, it feels like 90% of those. Sometimes they get a more famous person to come in.
Yeah, I mean, every so often you get like a D. Bradley Baker take on it, or like, I literally can't think of another person. There were others. But yeah, Kevin Conroy, for me personally, like the way that he brought like this level of passion and authenticity to the character, the way that he brought humanity to a character that was previously on air very silly, and in the comics getting very dark, was really refreshing. And they really pushed the grounds of what like was allowed on children's TV at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why the Joker gas even became a thing. It's because they were told they can't kill anyone. They said, well, what's a fate worse than death? Laughing uncontrollably until you asphyxiate.
Asphyxiate?
Brain doesn't do words sometimes.
Yes.
You know what I mean. You choke to death. But yeah, that's like awful. So for me, Kevin Conroy's voice is what I hear when I read a Batman comic. His role in all the Arkham games and the Injustice series and many other video game stuff is really kind of where it was that I grew so accustomed to hearing his voice.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of tributes online to him as well already. People drawing up their own comics, and kind of when it's very rare that as a voice actor you are known by name. Unfortunately, even though some of those people are doing some of the best acting,
which is some BS.
But it is just the nature of the business. But he had sort of,
the character gets the role, you get
he had sort of jumped into being definitely known for Batman, but of course, like, being a known voice actor.
Yeah.
And so when you do that, you're definitely famous. It's like a weird thing. Like, you have reached another point of where people are like, I don't know. I just think that when you do that, your legacy can live on a lot longer when people kind of realize the name behind the voice, because all of a sudden, inevitably, someone will pass that voice to an iconic character, and they'll be like, "Oh, I didn't even know who that was." Unfortunately,
yeah.
But this had reached another point to a lot of people, and the people are reacting in kind online.
Yeah, and he was not just a voice for Batman, but also a voice for many different groups out there. He was apparently an all-around great guy, but he also really part of the reason he put his all into Batman is he really identified with that dual identity situation. Since maybe not everyone knows, but Kevin Conroy was closeted gay whenever he started the role, and was out fully, now. He even put out a comic of his own talking about putting on the mask of being a straight man whenever he was actually a gay man. And he really put a voice out there for people who didn't feel like they had a voice, especially in the comic book world where there's not very much of that representation. So he will be missed.
Right.
All around great guy, and just such a bummer loss, man. Like that one hurt. That one hurt a lot.
Getting to that age it does stink when your real life heroes start to pass away. But moving on to more exciting news, I guess, but less sad news, I guess, is probably like way to start off with that. But it had to be talked about. So what's the less sad news?
Let's move into something a little more fun to talk about.
Okay,
it's something. You
want to see a switch flip?
More magical. Let's head in that direction. We got some new details on a game I know you're very excited about.
Ooh.
The Hogwarts Legacy Harry Potter game. We gotta look at more of the world building. Some of the combat was really fleshed out. A lot more of the customization. How you feeling about the game so far?
A little bit more relieved.
Yeah.
Because the early footage and some of the stuff that they released for trailers didn't look bad, but it definitely looked maybe even a little unfinished. And this was a few months ago.
Yeah.
That they released it.
The game's set to come out in February.
In February, so there's a little bit more time. And I was worried about, it's not like the character animations are super almost lifelike, like I was watching Plague Tale or whatever, and it's almost like an uncanny valley with
Plague Tale's such a good game. Dude.
Yeah, they're super lifelike and realistic, where I'm kind of like, ooh, this is strange. Yeah. They're not like that. You can tell that whatever style they're using, it's like, okay, this just feels and looks like a video game.
It's like a little bit of a characterized version of
right. And I was looking at that, and I was worried that maybe it wasn't going to feel as immersive as probably I wanted it to be. But then they in this playthrough, it was like a 40-minute video.
Yeah, they did a whole dev talk about all the different parts and pieces.
Yeah, so, and you'll be seeing some of this footage now. They take you around the castle. Well, first of all, there's so much more customization to your characters than previously thought, which is a great thing, it's a super inclusive game, it looks to be, and which is great, because if you know the Hogwarts universe, or especially that of the movies, wasn't always the most inclusive thing.
Yeah. We can get into the turmoil that is the wizarding world.
We don't have to.
Especially in the books, because there's some real mean stuff going on, and J.K. Rowling's not particularly nice all the time either. So.
No, so it looks like and I think that they wanted to pivot into that, which was very good. Yeah. Looks like you get to choose several different hairstyles, of course, skin tones, things of that nature, adding scars and makeup and everything else to your characters. Right. It was a really interesting. They didn't go the most in depth they didn't scroll through all the options, but it was actually really cool to see that. Of course, then you get to pick your house, and that's what the depth of the houses of the castle and everything, and they didn't even explore outside the castle really.
Yeah, but you can fly around on brooms and creatures and stuff outside the castle too,
right.
So.
How lived in and how real almost the castle feels was almost a sight to behold. And they really didn't interact with anything. They just kind of walked around the castle.
Yeah.
It looks like
the attention to detail is
that's what I was looking. The attention to detail. It looked like how when you were reading the books, what you would
imagine, or even just seeing the first few scenes of Hogwarts in the movies, the expansion that your brain goes through about what would the rest of this place look like? Because you only get to see a few key locations,
right? And I don't know if anybody's ever done how people will draw the maps of Mordor and things.
There are full
of Middle Earth
to scale models and stuff that you can find.
I didn't know if anybody had actually drawn out the entirety.
Yeah, and then I think the Marauders.
The Marauders map, that makes more sense.
So, I think it looks really good, and this presentation really did kind of alleviate one of the problems I was having with the game.
The combat looked a little interesting.
Yeah, so the combat was probably the place where it shined the most for me, just because it was there's a lot of diversity going on with the way that the different spells are combining. I do think that it's going to have trouble in the time slot that it's in because Forspoken comes out right before this game does. And Forspoken's magic looks a lot more impressive and fluid together.
This isn't going to have any trouble selling.
No, it's not going to have trouble selling. I just think that if apples to apples comparisons come up, they won't be as favorable there. I do think that, though, my biggest problem is most of the stuff we had seen before this was very, very controlled, which is fine. But when you put the game in players' hands, they typically don't take softly, walked past through. They're sprinting full speed to get to the next thing. They're randomly pressing a button that makes their wand flick out every so often. They're spamming emotes. They're doing all this crazy stuff. And while you don't want to present the game in that light, when you slow it down so much, it starts to make me go, okay, but does the game run at full speed whenever you're doing stuff like actually?
Yeah, you're running through the hallways.
We were only getting glimpses of very tame, combat encounters originally, but we saw some bigger stuff here. I think that seeing more of the crowd density throughout the halls and stuff made me feel like it can run pretty well. I'm still a little skeptical about how it's going to run, long term, going into the open world stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest hurdle that it would have going forward. For one, can it maintain my interest the entire time? Probably. I think there's a good chance that it'll keep me involved. I'm not as big into the Harry Potter universe as some people. I like it, but I'm not all in on it.
Well, this is kind of the Harry Potter game that folks have been asking for like a decade, or for longer than that.
It's like the not MMO that they've been.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's not a built-in movie game, and it's not. I mean, Quidditch World Cup slaps, but it's not that great of a game, but it's still really, really fun.
It's the only one we have, though.
True.
Where's EA Sports getting our Quidditch World Cups every year?
Right, it should be. I would take a rebuild of that game.
Put Quidditch in FIFA, you cowards.
I will say that people have been asking for a version, not this game, but of this ilk for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I'm finally glad that they're doing it. Now will it be something like we'll build this one game, and every single year or every 5 years we'll re-release a remaster of this game every single year.
This is going to be the WB.
This is going to be the Skyrim.
Here's the thing with the current management at Warner Bros. Discovery.
Yeah,
I could totally see them being like, well, it worked for them.
Right.
And them just doing that every 4 or 5 years.
I don't know how big. I don't know if it's as big as Skyrim, just the world, but it seems like a very big.
That's the thing game. I think it's going to have to hurdle the most is the scale as massive as it's selling itself to be.
Right.
Is it because
they said in
the hub world of the castle, and then a few outside areas that you can go to that have repeated similar encounters over and over again, or is it going to be full of different types of magical creatures for you to encounter and all kinds of fun side quests?
They said anywhere that you see from the castle, you can go.
That's what they always say.
That would be interesting to see if that's actually a thing.
Yeah.
And real quick, back to the combat, I'm going to be interested to see how the combat works without there's no punching. There's no
There should be.
There's no hand-to-hand combat.
You should be able to melee class.
Right. So everything that you're seeing is they kept saying it was long distance jousting, which is
interesting.
Which is interesting. So the entire game, and I'm not saying this is you use guns and stuff all the time, but this is all ranged combat.
Yeah, but normally even in games where you're doing a third-person shooter, you have the option to run up to somebody. And I do think that it would be hilarious if they reveal the week before the launch or whatever that you can just
slap somebody.
You can just spec as a dude with a bat or something. And you just everyone else is casting spells and you've got a magic deflecting bat, so you just knocking spells out of the air and just beating the crap out of people.
Right.
But then they'd have to include a lot more blood.
Exactly. So I don't know. I'm excited for this because this is the game that I'm not even the biggest there's so many bigger Harry Potter fans than I, but
he's got a shrine to Draco Malfoy. Don't let him fool you.
Right. And big Slytherin head over here. Many people are saying, but I just think that allowing you to live in this world more so than it not be on rails based on the movies, you get to insert yourself into this in real time is what people have been asking for a long time. And I'm happy to see that it's not for nothing, looks like it's working.
Yeah, and we're excited to see what it's going to be like.
Because I've seen some of these demos where I'm like, "Ooh, that looks like trash."
I hope this isn't a case of a demo looking way better than the actual game, but I know that some people have actually had a little bit of hands-on time with it, so remains to be seen. But like you're saying, something everyone's been asking for. Something else everyone's been asking for, allegedly, is the Gears of War franchise to get something new going on. And so Netflix
It's only Dave Bautista's been asking for this.
It's just Dave Bautista, but Dave, you're my everybody.
Right. And he even released his own...
Yeah, he made his own promo image.
Because this has been like the Halo stuff in the works since 2006.
Yeah, there's been some form of Gears of War thing since the first game came out. Which is funny because Dave Bautista was in, I think, an ad. Or maybe he was actually in Gears of War 3 somewhere. But he was in...
He's been connected to it for a long time, and they wanted it... Is it Marcus?
Yeah, they need a Marcus Phoenix.
Yeah.
But they haven't announced what this story is going to be covering, if it's going to be set during the main games, or if it's going to be set like in an alternate time period or whatever. I mean, this is interesting to me. I think that Gears of War faces the same kind of struggles that like God of War would face with an adaptation. If you're going for the old school stuff, you've got to kind of reconcile with that. Those games were violence incarnate, and that's all that they were really there to do. They weren't there to tell like super deep stories. They were there to set up large scale action. Whereas like the newer Gears of War games have some emotional beats and a lot of like carefully constructed character developments and stuff, just like the newer God of War games are not about anger, but about overcoming fate and anger and your past to be a better person.
Right. And I was too young to play the Gears of War. Like my parents were going to go buy me Gears of War on my Xbox, my original Xbox back in the day. But I am old enough now, no YouTube age restrictions for me, to watch playthroughs of the old games, and I get why people love them.
Yeah, I mean, look, don't get me wrong, they're fun. I just think they're really, really a product of their time, and I said this before.
Those early Xbox days.
Yeah, 2006 to 2012 was just like.
Why were we so angry? What was
dude, it was just violence and anger all the time, and every character was on a quest for vengeance, and that was all that mattered. And this is what kind of led to the ludonarrative dissonance thing popping up towards the end of 2012 and 2013, where your character is supposed to be the good guy, but he sure does kill every person he meets, regardless of whether or not they may have actually been a bad person or whatever. God of War kind of handles that pretty well in the two games that it's done since its original trilogy. Gears of War kind of handled it a little bit, but I do think that, I mean, we've matured since then, I think, maybe, probably not. I still laugh at Booty sometimes, but, and Duty, like Call of Duty is still funny to me sometimes.
Duty.
It's not funny.
It's not funny. Totally not funny.
It's absolutely not funny. Nope. I would never.
Nope.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like we've matured past that.
Well, the people making those games have also matured too. The people making those games are in their 50s.
Yeah, it's like Cory Barlog stepping away from God of War for a little while to come back and do the new God of War games really helped them redo that. I think that, taking it out of the hands of Gears of War, out of the hands of Cliff Bleszinski and that crew, and putting it in with the Coalition, has really given new eyes a chance to do a take on this game. So I'm curious to see which version of the universe they take. The gun-toting bros out here blowing up everything and chainsawing anything in their path.
It just depends on
or the one with Terminator in it.
It just depends on who it goes to. If it goes to Netflix, it could be...
It is going to Netflix.
It is going...
It was Netflix that made the announcement. They've got plans for a movie and an animated series, and if the animated series is successful, they currently have plans to expand on that.
Not for nothing... They've done really well with their animated series based on video games.
Yeah, dude, for
which
real.
is surprising. You know, so
No joke, the Tekken series, some amazing fight choreography and stuff in that game. It's incredible.
and of course, you know, Arcane and
Yeah, and the Castlevania, if you haven't seen the Castlevania series, go watch it. Pause this, go watch that, come back, we'll wait.
did they do? Are they in charge of the not Blade Runner, the Cyberpunk series as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, they're basically
Edge
like
Runner
4 or
was great
5,
too.
5 for 5. But no, if anybody's gonna play, like, just put Dave Bautista in it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
If someone wants,
it's the most-
like the Henry Cavill thing. Like,
Yeah.
if someone wants to play the video game character, I don't really care if they look like that person. Just let them play it. Like, that makes sense to me.
he also looks like that guy in real life. He's
Yeah.
the biggest person, and those characters are comically large
Yeah,
too.
you could just say that he's Marcus Phoenix. And also, guys, I know we want our characters to look the same in the movies as they do in the video games. Get over it. People don't really look like video game characters. You're not going to find a
Unless you're
Chris
Dave
Pratt out
Bautista.
there that looks like a Mario, though it would be really funny if that were the case.
Hey, I'm Mario.
It's me, a Mario. I'm Nightwing's growing.
This is a joke from an episode that didn't air.
We once recorded something, and I did not record it.
Yep.
So we'll move on to the next thing, though. Control 2 is also in early development from Remedy Games, follow-up to the 2019 absolute banger of success, Control, kind of low-key set in the Alan Wake universe.
You're gonna have to
enjoyed
carry
that game.
this one because
All right, I got you. Don't worry.
I didn't even see this on the rundown.
That's okay. I didn't put a link with it because there's not enough information.
Oh, good.
We're just going to mention it here. Control 2, super early development. They're literally in conceptual development, but they went ahead and announced it. Stopped doing that, but they went ahead and announced it so that you guys can know that it's in the early form of being something that will eventually be a thing that they will then announce differently later on when they announce it, and it'll be announced at a different time to come back around. Once that announcement is made, they'll put a teaser out about the teaser trailer that then will tease the trailer that will be the trailer, and then that'll be out.
It's like a lazy Susan. It just comes all the way back around.
Yeah. Sick, lazy Susan reference.
Thank you. I'm 1,000 years old.
All right, that's all I had on that. I liked Control. I hope the second one is good.
Explain just real quick. Do a quick rundown of Control for me.
Oh man, that's a hard thing to do. Control is psychic power,
Right, okay.
corporation, very industrial corporate infrastructure where you sometimes have to fight a refrigerator. It's possessed. You got to do
Nice.
it. If you see a refrigerator and it's possessed, you gotta fight it. That's the rules. I don't make the rules.
That's the last Indiana Jones movie.
Dude, I hope. I hope the next Indiana Jones is just Indiana Jones.
No, I'm saying that was in the
ghost
last
fight.
movie. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, he used the refrigerator, though. That was different. He should have to fight the ghost of that refrigerator in this new one.
That's possessed by the atomic bomb that went off.
Yeah, I would watch it.
Right. Talking an Avengers game.
Yeah, speaking of things that died.
Yay. Super psyched for this.
So you guys remember Square Enix's Marvel's Avengers?
Mm-hmm. A game that was totally successful and not at all, didn't fail
Somehow
whatsoever.
it has enough players to keep going, either through contractual obligation or otherwise.
Talk about a game I would have never thought, not that it would like kept going, that they would have just, they keep releasing new content for that same game. They
that's what I'm
haven't made a
saying.
sequel. They just
think
keep releasing new content.
I think it's a contractual obligation at
What
this
is-
point. Because, all right, so we're getting, the next thing we're going to get here is we're going to get Winter Soldier. We just got Jane Foster's Thor not too long ago, back when Love and Thunder dropped, which is the first
And
time they
these
actually
games
coincided with something.
related to the movies. Like Fortnite
Nope.
has related to the movies more than this has.
Yeah, which, what a weird world we live in. The Marvel Avengers game isn't related to Marvel Cinematic
Not like
Universe,
that, really,
but-
even a little bit.
But Fortnite has its hooks in both Marvel and
And
Star
DC.
Wars and DC. Because Fortnite is canon to the Star Wars universe thanks to Star Wars Episode 9,
Mhm.
which got its reveal of Palpatine coming back in Fortnite. A thing I still hate and haunts my nightmares.
Also, Tenet.
Yeah, also Tenet. It's canon in the Tenetiverse.
a thing that
Someone
Christopher
trademarked
Nolan
that.
definitely knew when they were like, "Hey, you wanna
He's like, I'm gonna pitch the Tenetiverse.
yeah, do you want to put your trailer with Travis Scott in Fortnite?" He's like, "I have no idea what any of those words mean."
That's all bullshit you're saying. Sure, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Just give me enough money to make a real plane explode, and I will put this.
Wherever.
Put it on an IMAX screen in Roblox. I don't care. Which would be the thing that they would do now, because that's what Walmart. You know, Walmart has an entire island, like a really sad corporate island in Roblox.
Do they really?
Yeah, where they're like, hey, browse our fresh produce. And all this. It's like it's real gross and corporate, and it's aimed at children.
This is hell.
Anyway,
it's a hellscape.
Yeah, I mean, we are in hell, and I have never felt more like we're in hell than being in Texas in this time and place.
Do you want your corporate overlords to also be in your video games?
Hey, you know that thing you do for escapism? What if you couldn't escape?
What if you couldn't get away?
What if you went there and you had a job and you got to work a 9 to 5 there?
Oh.
And when you get off of the job in the video game, you got to go to your real life job because you got to make money so you can play the game. Because your friend works at that job too in the video game. You know, that's the only way you can stay in contact with your friends. And you guys have been playing games since you were a kid. So now you're locked into this dual life sequence. I don't know when you sleep, but it's got to be somewhere in there. But also, you got to pay your other bills. Unfortunately, the cost of living in the digital platform has risen. So you're going to have to invest in a lot more Bitcoin, and also you're going to jail now.
Oh, man. We just hit inflation in Roblox.
Oh, man. It's the worst.
Jesus. No, but I think back to Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
I never understood Sims, by the way. That was the whole point of Sims. My sister has played it until her eyes have bled.
Sims is a way to live your best life if you're good at it. It's also a way to drown a group of families.
Yeah,
if you're bad at it.
It's also, have you taken your virtual self to pee pee and poo poo yet? And I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. That's how I feel about like Nintendogs and stuff. Like, I love those puppies. Don't get me wrong. I love those puppies, and I take good care of them. But also, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Why am I taking care of that? I have a dog.
You have a kid.
I have 2 kids.
Yeah.
I got 2 of them. But this dog needs to be fed, so I guess I'll see them later at some point.
Okay.
But Marvel's Avengers, yeah. So Winter Soldier is coming along with some minor updates. Still not enough significant content to really bring me back in. Here's the thing. Gameplay-wise, the game is fine. But it's boring. It's repetitive. And the new content they're bringing is the same content reskinned as something else.
Right.
It's the same structure. There's nothing new. I think that there's so many problems with the game they should have been addressing instead, but instead we're getting new characters over and over again. So,
but yeah, let's. I mean,
best of luck to you. I mean, I hope your Marvel stuff does well. Good luck. You got a lot of competition coming down the line, so it's like 3 Marvel games.
Just not tying any of this into the movie properties was just a mistake from the beginning, and I think
that it was probably for the best to not tie it into the movie properties.
Well, I understand that, but you were never going to get Robert Downey Jr.'s likeness or whatever.
No, and he was for sure never.
And we've talked about this 1,000 times, but just not even relating it a little bit is kind of a miss. But anyway.
Sorry, I'm pulling up the notes for this last part. I'll cut this part out, probably. I probably will say I'm going to cut it out now.
Sure you will.
And I definitely won't remember, but you know me. All right, let's see here. We're going to be talking about the Game Awards.
There are so many awards. So many Game Awards.
The awards have been so many gamed. All right, so we'll start from the top here. Jeff Keighley and the Game Awards did a whole feature presentation on Monday about the nominees in the various categories across the Game Awards, which will be on December 8th. And I just wanted to kind of talk. I'm working on our list of best games. We'll talk a little bit about these various categories, the games in them, and then also talk about how strange some of the categories are.
There are, first of all, Eat Your Heart Out Oscars. There are like they've been like, we got to cut this award show down to like 10 categories.
Yeah.
And Game Awards are like,
nah, man.
nah, we got 30 categories. Like, eat your heart out.
But here's how a lot of these categories go. And this, I had to complain about this last year because they spent, 15 minutes of the opening part of the show running ads. And then they came up and go, here's who won best fighting game. Here's who won best shooter game. Here's who, like, they're just like on a little, like a OTS over the shoulder shot right there. A little behind the scenes knowledge if you didn't know.
Yep. This is inside baseball.
Yeah, we're inside the baseball, which is what we call this newsroom. It's the baseball.
Anyway.
That was a stupid thing to say. Sorry. But it's like the baseball triangle, right? It's a triangle. Sorry, I'm looking at never mind. Forget I'm here.
Baseball's a diamond.
Also, I know that. I was making a joke about the triangle. It's off the rails. I've gone insane. All right.
Game of the year.
Yeah, we're getting there. So game of the year. A Plague Tale Requiem, great game. Elden Ring, fine game. God of War Ragnarok, you'll see. Horizon Forbidden West, pretty good game. Stray, okay. I don't get it, but okay.
The shock of the year to me, like
Xenoblade Chronicles 3, also a strange one.
A game I've definitely heard of.
No, you haven't.
That was a bold-faced lie. Look, at the very beginning of the year, I mean, this is like a coin flip between two games, and I think they're going to give it to the more popular one, which I think is God of War Ragnarok.
I think it's actually going to be Elden Ring.
You think it's going to be Elden Ring?
Mm-hmm. Here's why. God of War is popular, yes, and is well renowned by PC or by PlayStation players. Elden Ring being a multi-platform game means that more people were exposed to it and have a stronger opinion about it because it was available to them. Yes, God of War Ragnarok might be, in my opinion, the better game, but I think Elden Ring really did bring something special to this year that no one else brought, and that was a unique way to play the game. The first time a From Software game felt accessible to people in a long time, and narratives that people really like caught on to. There's been a huge discourse on Twitter over these last couple of days about what qualifies a narrative, and I like what, going back to Cory Barlog, said that all games have a narrative. Whether or not it's the main focus of what you're doing the entire time is completely unimportant. This is not movies, it is not TV, it is not books. The narrative does not have to be the focal point of what's going on. You can make a game that's fun and have an interesting narrative that's happening behind you. And I think there's a lot of that going on in Elden Ring. You're not participating in a full through-line narrative, but you are participating in a world that's already lived in and has narratives that interconnect and go places, and you follow certain paths. There's whole side quests that run down those narratives, path lines. So I just think Elden Ring probably has its hooks in more people. Also, it's still the best-selling game of the year.
That's all fine and good. No, thank you.
I mean, yeah. Hey, listen, I'm with you.
It looks like, look, people get mad at me in the comments. Nobody watches the shows, whatever. It looks like zero fun to me. It looks like no fun.
I had fun for about 30 minutes per play session. I tried for like a month. And I even tried to come back to it right before God of War Ragnarok came out. It's just not for me, guys. And that's okay.
Whatever, give it to the cat game.
Yeah, let's give it to the cat game. For the memes, our Game of the Year list will be a little more extensive. I think we're going to have 7 titles total that we're going to do. And here's my plan currently. At the end of this month, we will put up the list of all the categories we're going to do on kwtx.com, on our YouTube channel, and on our Twitter and Facebook pages, where you guys can go and vote, allegedly. I have to figure out how to make that happen first, but I'm going to let you know now so that you can be disappointed when I'm bad at this. But allegedly, you'll be able to vote somehow. For sure on Twitter, you'll be able to vote.
Yeah.
And we'll reveal the winners sometime in the middle of December, shortly after all the major final releases come out.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give a chance for a few more games to come out before we get there because there's a couple of big ones
But
still left.
look, not only this, but we're going to talk about this. Stray was nominated in not only this, but like best indie game of the year, but it was also nominated like in
Game direction.
like 17 other categories or something like that. I say that with hyperbole, but it was a lot. It was basically like 10 other categories. Stray was a really fun independent game.
Yeah, it was super interesting.
They did this for the memes, right?
I think that it was a unique experience for a lot of people. I don't think they brought anything truly new to platforming. I think that there were some interesting concepts, and I do think that yes, it being a cat game really helped it sell. Because
it was fun.
If
I
it
had a
been
really
a
good time.
frog and a robot, no way anyone would have bought this game.
Yeah, if it would have been a dog, guys, it would have.
It would have exploded. You got to know, dogs are way more popular than cats. I would have bought the
But
dog
cats
game.
can get to places that dogs can't.
Yeah.
I get it.
Well, and
look,
a cat accidentally saving human life is hilarious to me.
Yeah, the
Robot life.
our feline friend looked great. He looked amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very pretty game. And that's the thing. I think this has been one of those years. This happens like every other year or whatever, but we get these kind of tentpole years where they're just these massively successful games. Tons of awesome games came out this year. I have several that are in the running that I'm legitimately struggling. Like I know I want to pick God of War Ragnarok for my game of the year, but there's legitimately games I enjoyed just as much. Rollerdrome. I'm playing through Pentiment right now on Xbox, which is the weirdest 16th century murder case I've ever had to solve. As you know, I am constantly solving 16th century murder cases.
Very much Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, I mean, and I am always a painting, and that's what this game is. It's super weird. The comedy is funny. The way that the game is put together is real interesting.
Also, Plague Tale, a game that I didn't hear of until Conan O'Brien announced that he was bringing back Clueless Gamer.
Yeah, which, just come here, play it. Here's the 5 games that you probably didn't play this year that you got to play. Plague Tale, you should go back and play the first one first, but you can play the second one without playing the first one. You should probably play Sifu. You should play Rollerdrome. You should play Vampire Survivors, and you should play Scorn, because that game is so strange.
Yeah, but Plague Tale coming out of nowhere on October. I mean, I guess Ragnarok was always going to get nominated, but like October release, getting a lot of popularity, and it looks terrifying because rats are horrible.
And it's literally they come in like tsunamis this time.
Yeah. Ugh.
In the first game, they were just like these like pools of rats, and you had to throw a flame near them to make them piss off. But this time,
also, do you control the rats?
No. Well, I mean, you can not in like a Dishonored kind of way, but you can like lead rats to certain areas and make them attack people by.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, there's things you can do to like attract the rats towards enemies. It's a very good game. You should go play it.
Any other categories that we want to talk about?
So like you were talking about with the Oscars, I think the categories are more all-encompassing here. They really do make sure that everyone gets recognized.
Anybody that's even tangentially involved with, like, they have their best, like, who's your best gaming crew? Like,
best game director, best narrative, best art direction, best score and music, incorporating both sides of that. Best audio design, which honestly, dude, it's got to be between God of War Ragnarok and Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2's audio design was on point. But best performance, where we got to talk about, God, this is going to be a hard contest. Whew. It's a lot of Ashley Burch and Horizon as Aloy. Mm-hmm. Charlotte Bernie as the lead character in Plague Tale. Christopher Judge as Kratos. I don't remember who Manon Gage played in Immortality, but I think maybe the main character or the director.
Ajax also nominated.
Yeah, Atreus. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could nominate everyone from the God of War cast because holy crap, no one came into that game with like it's a sequel. People are gonna buy it. Like everyone was like all in. You'll hear about it in my review. It's coming.
Also, one of the dudes from West Wing is just in that.
Yeah.
It's insane. Anyway, sorry.
Also, watch West Wing. Very good show. I miss.
Yeah, if you haven't heard of that thing, West Wing.
Hey, you remember West Wing, guys? This is now a West Wing podcast. We're going to spend the next 30 episodes talking
breaking
about
down
each
the
episode of West Wing.
The 100 episodes of West Wing.
To steal a bit from College Humor, welcome to West Wing Wings, where we're going to eat wings and talk about West Wing.
That's so stupid.
But it's the podcast no one asked for.
Yeah.
But they even went on for like games for impact to talk about like harder to handle subjects, best ongoing games, so games from previous years that are still going, like Fortnite, Destiny 2, Genshin Impact, Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, that Fortnite thing still going.
Best indie, best debut indie, so first game from an indie studio or an indie developer. Best community support, which is a really important one and I think is interesting. It's
like Roblox got nominated.
Destiny 2, I see you on there, and I disagree. I disagree. Best mobile, sure. Best VR and AR, sure. This is where it starts to get a little, so what do you think the difference between an action game and an action adventure game is? Because they are different categories.
I think it was just the violence. That's literally all it is.
Okay, so sure.
Like Uncharted
also,
is an action adventure game.
But also no,
like
because
Call of
these
Duty
games
is an
have
action
so
game.
much cross. Okay, so I'll say the name of a game on one of these two lists.
Okay.
And you tell me if you think it's an action game or an action adventure game.
Okay.
Bayonetta 3.
Action adventure.
That is an action game.
Knew it.
God of War Ragnarok.
Action adventure.
That is action adventure.
Look at that.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
That's action, right?
That is action. All right.
Hey.
Neon White.
That's a game. Action.
Sifu.
Okay, now this is a little action, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And this is a hard one. Stray.
Action adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
There's a distinction.
I think the distinction there is the narrative, like how much importance the narrative is versus the action itself.
Right.
Call of Duty's narrative is the action.
Action is the
Sifu's
juice.
action is the action. Neon White's whole narrative is the action. But God of War Ragnarok, Plague Tale, Requiem, Stray, Tunic, all those games have a narrative that happens outside of the action. Best role-playing game, where triangle strategy will win. Kidding.
Sure.
Yeah. Hey, Various Day Life didn't get nominated, I noticed.
What were
Square
there?
Enix, if you don't stop coming up with these garbage-ass names, I'm going to lose it.
What were the other games nominated for RPG?
Elden Ring, Live Alive, Live Alive, Live Alive, or Live Alive. It's one of those. I can't remember. Pokemon Legends Arceus, Triangle Strategy, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring will sweep that category for sure.
Run away with that one.
Best Fighting Game. It's a bad year for fighting game, honestly. Next year is gonna blow this year out of the water for fighting games, especially if both Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6 come out, which please don't make those things compete in my heart. I'll die. But also do, because I want the strictly stronger competition next year. DNF Duel will probably take that one, honestly, or Multiverses maybe. Sifu was included in there, but it's kind of a weird one for fighting games. I normally think of fighting games as like the co-op ones.
Right.
Best family games, sure. Best sim/strategy game. It's kind of hard to remember that there's a lot of sim games that come out every year or strategy games. I like, if it's not Command and Conquer, I don't really think about it.
Yeah, I don't
often.
like the thing is like
Name one sim/strategy game from this year.
I mean, I couldn't tell you. I wanted to keep saying Frostpunk, but that is like 5 years old.
Yeah, that one's an old one. But hey, I think the same developer did the Dune game, which is a
the top-down strategy games, guys.
Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope will win that.
Sure.
A lot of good sports games and racing games. A lot of great racing games this year.
Right. Gran Turismo 7 will probably run away with that one. But there was one on there. and I'm the sports game guy on this, I think, but the Ollie Ollie game.
Yeah, it's a skateboarding game.
Something I had never
Super
seen
good.
before. It looks like if Adventure Time made a video game.
Yeah.
And it kind of looks like the Roller Drome animation style mixed with like Adventure Time.
Yeah.
And it plays like a Sonic the Hedgehog game. So looks like a lot of fun. I had never heard of it.
Honestly, the thing I'm most annoyed by all these, there's like 1,000 more categories. We're not going to go through them all. Roller Drome is not mentioned, not even once on these lists.
Surprised it didn't pick up any indie noms, which is weird.
It should have been an indie nom, but also it should have been Game of the Year, and it should have been on the sports list. I feel like that definitely qualifies as blood sport.
It should have been in the action game.
Yeah,
action
and
adventure.
Put it in action sport adventure games.
Right. I don't have anything else. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot else to say. So we'll have our full list of categories. What's your Game of the Year so far?
I mean,
I know you haven't played Ragnarok.
I'm going to play Ragnarok this week because I'm a broke boy and couldn't afford it, and they didn't send us any.
I got the collector's edition, but I had to pay for that, and they didn't send it to me.
So your boy is broke, and I haven't paid for it, but I will. I promise. I'll pay for it. Not that anybody cares about my review of it.
I care.
I blew through when I finally got into the play of the 2018 God of War. I blew through it.
Yeah.
But also I did the same for Horizon. So
I'll tell you my recommendation. There's not much left in the year. Take your time with God of War Ragnarok.
Right.
There's so many subtle storytelling beats that happen throughout the game where if you don't pause to take a second to just listen to some of the dialogue, you're going to miss it on some great moments.
Right. I think it'll probably end up being God of War, but I really did. And it got a little long in the tooth there at the end, and there's still like 1,000 things that I can do in Horizon. It's like the biggest world possible that they could possibly make. I love that game, but it's probably going to end up being God of War. And I'm not going to play Elden Ring. I just won't do it. I just won't.
I tried Elden Ring.
Unless it's free.
It's not my thing.
Give it to me for free, and I will try it. But I do not. Those games look like a bad time for my mental health.
Yeah.
I don't like losing. Sorry.
I've got friends that are crazy into the Elden Ring thing or into the From Software games who are even like, yeah, God of War's the game of the year. So for me, obviously,
also, it's the last thing that George R.R. Martin has ever finished in his life. So and that may be worth something, but
Elden Ring's fine. It's just not for me, and I get that.
Most anticipated, by the way. What did you? That was an interesting category.
Yeah. Most anticipated.
It was Hogwarts. To me, it was between Hogwarts and Zelda.
Zelda's definitely up there for me.
Although I got to tell you, I played like 18 hours of the last Zelda game, and I'm barely off the island.
Zelda's probably my most anticipated next title after. No, Forspoken's my most anticipated game right now. Because I'm really hoping that does something unique and interesting with
For me, it's Hogwarts.
Hogwarts will be somewhere.
That is like a day one. Like I would go stand in line.
Would you dress up for it?
No.
Come on, you do a good like middle-aged Draco Malfoy.
Draco Malfoy that is just like
a
abandoned hope.
Like a college dropout Draco Malfoy.
Alcoholic Draco Malfoy.
I could definitely pull off put on the goofy full circle glasses, draw a scar on my head, and be I peaked in high school Harry Potter.
Depressed Harry Potter.
Yeah. Did you guys know I killed Voldemort?
I did that.
I saved the entire wizarding world. It's me. I changed my accent once I got to the States.
It's no big deal.
It's whatever. Hey, give me a beer. And it's pulling the beers out with his wand.
Yeah, no,
He just pokes a hole in the side with.
You know that's like the elder.
It's like the Elden Ring.
That's like the Elden Ring. That's like the Elder Wand. Yeah, I don't care.
he's like you can actually drink more if you just apparate all the garbage out of your body after you.
By the way,
it's canon.
Canon that before toilets. Witches and wizards used to pee and poop themselves.
If that's not the opening tutorial for Hogwarts Legacy, where they're like, to alleviate your stress levels, simply
Simply defecate in the hallway.
Defecate in the hallway.
Look it
and
up.
then-
I'm not making this up. This is canon from J.K. Rowling.
And all of that, all that fecal matter and gross ended up in Detroit somehow. that part might not be canon.
Ooh, that's not canon. So it is Hogwarts Legacy. I'm gonna go be a Hufflepuff like I was meant to be. And yeah,
I'm a Raffleclaff. That's what I am.
I'm a Dingledorf. Like you're just saying names at this point.
I can't wait to meet the headmaster Ganondorf. Yeah, so I mean that's all we really got. I mean, obviously my game of the year is probably going to end up being God of War, but I have a lot of hope for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So here's some of the stuff you can look forward to from us coming soon. I've got a fun video with some of the guys around here where we're going to play a fun game called is it Crypto or is it a Pokemon name? And you got to figure out which one's which, and whoever wins will get bragging rights, and I'm going to throw a Pokeball at them. The review from our full Modern Warfare 2 review, you can read my current narrative review up on kwtx.com under the Hardwired tab. We have our own tab now. We've really leveled up around here. You know what I'm saying? But you can find the full video later this week, hopefully on Saturday, where I'll be reviewing both the full single-player review and then a slightly extended portion will be for the multiplayer, where I'll talk about Season 1's implementation, some of the drawbacks of the pre-Season 1 stuff, and we'll talk about that. God of War Ragnarok review shortly after that, and then about a week after that, my Pokemon review will come right around the time that we'll have to start doing other reviews. There's so much content coming. It's never been a better time to subscribe, so subscribe to Hardwired. Thanks, guys.
For Uplink, I'm Roy Ogletree. That's Andrew Hamilton.
You better believe it.
You didn't even expect that. We're out.
Woo! Let's get out of here. Burn this place to the ground. Let's not.